What up, guys? Welcome in here to Kurt Magoosh Slaughterhouse Sports. And first, I want to, thank everybody for watching the video on Sean Lewis. Yeah, honestly, you guys can check out the numbers. That's one of the better videos, so in terms of viewership. So it does motivate. People will be lying if they said it didn't motivate them to continue on the journey. So shout out to everybody and thank you. Let's get right into it, guys. There's more big coaching news that is out there today. Of course, we have Arizona State hiring a 27-year-old stud, Rashad Samples, from the Rams today. But Mike Zimmer, this is the big news that's circulating around Colorado, is Mike Zimmer, who was an analyst with Deion Sanders, who was Deion Sanders' primary coach with the Dallas Cowboys during the dynasty. A guy that Deion Sanders considers one of his closest friends in the business, a mentor to Deion Sanders, one of the ultimate mentors, is considered to be in line to be the defensive coordinator of the Colorado Buffaloes. So Mike Zimmer, 66 years old, was a coach for the Minnesota Vikings for 7 years, part of the Minneapolis Miracle, got them to an NFC championship, had a lot of success there. And then, of course, with Marvin Lewis for, about 5 years in Cincinnati with the Bengals after he left the Cowboys, he was the defensive coordinator there. So he spent his life in football. He's passionate about cornerback play specifically, and you won't find a more passionate guy about the game of football. But guys, I'm now actually going to give an opinion now on whether I think that this is a good idea to have Mike Zimmer as a defensive coordinator. And of course, you guys have been great at giving your responses in the chat below. So here it is, guys. Would I hire Mike Zimmer as a defensive coordinator? Anybody who knows me personally, I have great admiration for elders, in my life and in every walk of society. And I love that Deion Sanders has a Mike Zimmer on the staff at Jackson State. I love that. But there is a however, and there is a but in the sentence here. He's 66 years old, and he hasn't been in college football, I believe, in the past 23 years. Colorado, one of the worst defensive teams last year in the Power Five. They gave up like 60 every single game. You're going into a conference. I just thought of this. These are the best quarterbacks, I think, bar none, that the Power Five has to offer is in the Pac-12. You have Michael Penix coming back, who Penix could have been a fourth rounder. Michael Penix has NFL arm talent from Indiana. He's always possessed that ability, 6'3". Kalen DeBoer and that staff at Washington, that's some of the best offensive coordinated schemes you're going to see. He was at Fresno State with Jake Haener, the coach of Washington. So Kalen DeBoer is a star. They went 10-2. Michael Penix, if you guys watch, I'm sure you guys are college football fans, but Michael Penix, huge arm, can deliver any throw all across the field. Michael is a guy that is immensely talented, unbelievable person as well. So I'm so happy he's actually going back to college. I think he's going to get compensated well with NIL because he could have risen even to maybe a third round pick or a fourth rounder. That's just my prediction about Michael. But now Penix, with another year of dominating in a year without Stroud, Young, and Richardson and Will Levis, he could be a guy. I think he's making a smart decision. He could be drafted, pretty high. You look at a guy in Arizona that I believe is also a Sunday quarterback, one of the most electric quarterbacks in all of college football, and that's Jayden de Laura. So Jayden de Laura is in this conference as well. All right, you look at Oregon, you have Ty Thompson, who's a four-star guy, and then, of course, Dante Moore, who I think is going to be I think Dante Moore is even better than Arch. I think Dante Moore is going to be an amazing quarterback for Oregon. They just have Will Stein. You have unbelievable weapons, Jerrion Dickey, Kyler Casper, the receivers at Oregon. All right, so you look at what is the Pac-12. It's an offensive league. Chip Kelly's redefined himself. DTR, Zach Charbonnet. And then, of course, Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams. So you're talking about the Heisman, defending Heisman guy. So if you're Colorado and you're Deion Sanders, I mean, we talk about this a lot. You're recruiting 18-year-olds. Now, the parents of these 18-year-olds are going to know Mike Zimmer. They're going to know his time in Minnesota. They're going to know the Mike Zimmer dip and everything. I think kind of like Gary Patterson, his best role is as an assistant to the head coach and a guy that can mentor a defensive coordinator. Because how adept is Mike Zimmer, the guard against Lincoln Riley in this whole aerial raid? Eric Morris up there in Washington State. Eric Morris, Incarnate Ward head coach. We talk about, of course, Cam Ward. Cam Ward's a stud as well. So you have very innovative offenses in the Pac-12. And Mike Zimmer, how equipped is he to handle college offenses? We all know he can handle a pro-style NFL offense. How equipped is he at this age to handle these college offenses? That's the question I would have. You've Dennis Furman too, who was a really good coach for a while, also in his mid-60s. He was the defensive coordinator at Jackson State as well. I think that these guys should be involved. Tim Brewster is an amazing tight end. Tim Brewster is, again, in his mid-60s, but is a great tight ends coach. If Zimmer helped out with the cornerbacks, that would be tremendous. But just like Sean Lewis is a guy that's younger and is a guy that understands, of course, NIL, college football recruiting, and also all of the trees and the innovations, I think Mike Zimmer can figure it out. So this video might seem disrespectful to Mike Zimmer. But again, in this situation, is he going to be the most equipped to stay up with these young cats, to stay up with Lincoln Riley, with Kalen DeBoer, with Eric Morris, okay, at Washington State, even Jed Fish, a little bit younger, and has Jaden DeLaura? Is Mike Zimmer going to work out? Because, and it's not even Mike Zimmer's fault. A lot of times when you have an older coordinator, whether it's Jim Chaney at Tennessee or whether it's Chief John Chavis, when those older guys hit a wall, just like Don Brown at Michigan. What did Michigan do, guys? What did Michigan do? They had Don Brown, older defensive coordinator. Jim Harbaugh loves him. He got stale. He got beat by Urban and Ryan Day. He got beat by explosive offenses. Then what happened? Jim Harbaugh hires Mike McDonald, young fraternity guy who was with the Ravens, 36-year-old rising stud. The team then wins. And then you look at it this year, Mike McDonald then goes from Michigan back to the Ravens. They hire another young stud. So to center this back to Colorado, guys, should Colorado hire a young stud at defensive coordinator, or would you guys stick with Mike Zimmer as a defensive coordinator? Can Mike Zimmer do it? And Deion Sanders is around Mike Zimmer all the time. But now you're going to the Pac-12. And I know, of course, that the SWAC plays great football, but now you are dealing with Caleb Williams. You're dealing with elite quarterback, elite wide receivers. The elite of the elite. And it's going to be a journey. So these are the guys that I would personally target if I was in charge of the search. This is a launching pad seat for whoever's in charge, because you're getting Travis Hunter. You're getting all the notoriety. Travis Hunter, the number one high school player. You're getting one of the most talented cornerbacks to probably ever be recruited out of high school, and he's going to be in his second year now. So you're getting Travis Hunter. You're also going to be getting a lot of 4 and 5 stars. Deion Sanders' expertise is on the defensive side of the ball specifically and cornerback play. So this is an incredible opportunity for somebody. All right, just like Sean Lewis took this chance at 36 years old, who could be a future head coach that you can acquire, and you can look at pretty much anybody. You can even get a current defensive coordinator at a high level place. All right, you have $5 million to spend. Maybe you make your defensive coordinator get $1.5 million. So you look at Glenn Schumann. Now, Glenn Schumann also is at Georgia. He is the rising star. He's going to be a head coach somewhere very, very soon. I mean, he is the next up-and-comer. It's Nick Saban, it's Kirby Smart, it's Glenn Schumann. You also have Will Muschamp, who's been in college longer, who's also on Georgia's staff, who's anchoring to get back in the football. You could add Mike Zimmer and go get Will Muschamp as well. I don't know if Muschamp would leave, though. Made a lot of money as a head coach, likes being at Georgia. Kirby's a dear friend. That's his alma mater. But the two names that I am really impressed with, and these are kind of, I think, could be gem hires. Guy at Tulane under Willie Fritz, I think his name is Hampton. I'm going to tell you his name right now. The Tulane defensive coordinator, he recruits the South, and Tulane with Willie Fritz, that's some of the best defensive football you're going to see. Tulane's having the best season that they've had in their history. They're up to number 12 in the country. I think Hampton's making around $800,000. He is my choice, Chris Hampton. In fact, I think Hampton should have gotten hired as a head coach in this cycle. I think Chris Hampton's a star. What more does Chris Hampton have to do to get interviews? Or maybe he loves being at Tulane University. Austin Armstrong. Now, this is near and dear to me because I'm a big Southern Miss Eagle fan. I love Will Hall, Desmond Lindsay, all those guys over there. Sam Gregg from Liberty is a O-line coach. Austin Armstrong's 31 years old. Man, he got the nasty bunch playing great at Southern Miss. A lot of people in here watch Deion at Jackson State, probably know about Southern Miss and how prolific they were on the defensive side of the ball. He's an up-and-comer, Austin Armstrong, for sure, at 31 years old. And then Chris Marv is another younger guy. Now, Chris Marv never called plays with Brent Pry, but I believe that Chris Marv someday is going to be a tremendous defensive coordinator. So you can get a Utah assistant. Utah had great defense. Michigan has a whole pipeline of people to look after, just like Sean Lewis. Now, Sean Lewis was a coach, so Mike Zimmer is not the worst option in the world. You just have to be meticulous in this process, as Deion Sanders has said. And can Mike Zimmer stay up with the young cats? That's what I would have trepidation over that. I would not necessarily go that route. You look at Kenny Dillingham and what Oregon did, and I just cited a lot of reasons for it. I would not exactly go that route. But is this loyalty over production? Which I love loyalty. I love respecting elders. So I love so much about the respect that Deion is giving his friend Mike Zimmer and giving him another opportunity, because Mike Zimmer without football is not a happy person. So Mike Zimmer, I hear stories about Zimmer, and you guys have heard these too, about how he's at dinner. He'll just get up and start doing defensive back drills. So having Zimmer around Travis Hunter and having Zimmer coach cornerbacks and defensive players, I mean, he is an NFL. He is a legendary guy, Mike Zimmer. So having him around is tremendous. Maybe supplement him with a lot of youth and a lot of guys that are maybe going to know the Pac-12 or that really know about how mummy the air raid in Lincoln Riley. Can you stop Lincoln Riley? If you're going to think championships, what do you got to think about? Caleb Williams. You got to think about the Oregon talent. You got to think about Michael Penix next year in Washington. You got to think about Jaden DeLaura. You got to think about these studs that are out there. I mean, Kenny Dillingham's at Arizona State. These are some of the best offensive minds this Pac-12 is, again, pretty good on offense. Is Mike Zimmer up to the task? What do you guys think?